Perfect. Joining us today and probably introducing you to a few people is Sir Bob Cornelius Rifo from electronic punk duo the Bloody Beetroots. Bob is one half and one of the founding members of the Bloody Beetroots, and it's an absolute pleasure to have you here in Australia and joining us at the Rock Pit.
Thank you for having me, guys. Thank you.
So, tell us a little bit about your background and the origins of the Bloody Beetroots.
All right, so I grew up with punk rock. My first record that I ever bought was Nevermind the Bollocks by Sex Pistols. And then, I got into the 77 punk, got to learn about the Clash, the Circle Jerks, the Germs, and then went to explore Black Flag, Fugazi. So my background is punk rock, punk and punk rock. So when I basically 1997, I started messing up with electronic music, experimented with drum and bass, trip hop, house music. And suddenly at the end of 2005, I started blending together, all this background that, was coming to me. And I ended up to start the Bloody Beetroots.
And I mean, what a journey it's been since then. I mean, absolutely love the way that you mesh these two worlds together. Um,
Thank you.
it's an incredible listen, and the new EP Forever Part One, which is what we're also here to talk about, is just an incredible little journey of music and styles. I love the fact that it diversifies so deeply within itself, and there are so many styles that you touch on. Is there a particular track on that EP that sits, in a very special place for you?
There's so many. I think Bob Villan made a good point on doing Killing Punk together, because it explores the fact that punk needed to be evolved at some point, instead of staying in a ghetto. So what we wanted to do with that track was trying to evolve. What is punk in 2025? Still like the punk of the Sex Pistols, or it needs to be a different context now?
Yeah.
And I think Bob, did a great job on expressing that through the lyrics. So that track resonates with me particularly high. But they're all my sons and daughters.
Yeah, yeah.
So for me, it's all the songs have a meaning, and I always try to express the fact that all the songs that I produce are human experiences, and it's been there. This experience has been there since the very beginning of the Bloody Beetroots. My way to heal, my way to grow is through a human experience, and that's why there's so many collaborations in all my albums. I try to give to people my life, and that's always, that's the reason why I always say this project is my life, but not because it's my life, because it's a honest representation of what I've been through throughout the years.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, again, when you come to working on something like this that is so personal and so, I guess, relevant to life and your experiences and observations, that's where you ingrain a lot of yourself and your own personality in these things. If I can mention the track Numb, I love the grittiness of that. You know, again, as I sort of touched before, there is such a diversity. You go from, you know, This Is Blood, which reminds me of Prodigy, and you've got the indie rock grit of Numb, and again, Killing Punk. The guitar sound in that is insane. It's an amazing collection of things. So when it comes to writing one of these songs, especially something like Numb, does that start as a guitar riff, as a rock song, or is that something that you go, okay, what can I do over something
Strange
that you'd
enough,
already
never,
created?
strange enough, it never starts in the studio. It
Right.
starts when I meet people. So before I even approach the collaboration, I need a story to tell. For example, with Numb, I met Talkie Horror right after meeting Bob Villan in London. We had like a couple of beers together, and we started, thinking about the song. And I knew at the moment that we started the conversation, I already knew the riff, I already knew the structure, I already knew what I wanted to do with the song.
Yeah.
So the songs never start in the studio. It starts from that human experience, and it's strange because I don't spend much time in the studio.
Mm.
I love living the life and meeting people, and they give me already the music. I don't know if that makes sense for you, but I think, this is my language, so I don't need to start that riff with the guitar to be inspired.
Yeah. Yeah.
I need to
Yeah.
meet you, and then it comes kind of automatically.
Yeah.
And I gotta show you something because whenever I meet like people, this is what I do. I take notes.
Oh my God.
I take notes. I do the structure. This is while I'm talking with the people. I write down the structure of the song. This is what we could do. So that's what is natural for me to do.
Mm.
Um, and at the moment that I get on the guitars, the riff is there, the
Yeah.
structure is there, the bass is there.
Yeah.
The rest is all like engineering, but that doesn't belong to music.
Mm, no, absolutely, and I love that approach. I had no idea that that's how you would structure, and that fascinates me completely. That you're able to visualize from conversations and experiences that you know this is the structure for one of your tales that has a musical backing to it.
Thank you, man. I'm glad to hear that.
So if we can divert from the EP for a little bit, you have quite the history with Australia, don't you?
Yeah,
We
man.
go back to what is it, 2013, where you actually introduced the world to the Bloody Beetroots live.
Very true.
How did that come about, and why Australia to launch?
I don't know, man. Australia has always been very responsive to the Bloody Beetroots music. I remember the first time I got there was in 2007. I played my first gig in Parramatta. And it evolved from there. I think, you guys were really into that gritty electro sound that I was producing at that time. But you embraced, the diversity of being a DJ with a punk attitude. Australia and France were like the two countries that embraced the Bloody Beatles at the very beginning. But the intention of the DJ set at that time was to transform. It was already in my mind, it was already in my brain, was to transform that DJ set in a live band. And it took years to develop that kind of idea and make it real. And that was strange because, one year we played Stereo Sonic and the other year we played Big Day Out, which were like two odds together. And that was like, that's always been the Bloody Beetroots. So what do I do with the Bloody Beetroots? All the promoters say, what am I gonna do with this stuff? Is they're gonna play like an electronic festival? They're gonna play an alternative festival? It depends. It depends on where my brain is at that point, at that time in frame. And at that time in frame, 2013, we did the biggest day out, and I introduced to the world the Bloody Beaters live.
Yeah. Then obviously in 2017 you collaborated with Jet on My Name Is Thunder. I actually just saw Jet play last night. They supported Lenny Kravitz. They've still got
Oh,
it in
nice.
spades, live. How did you come to work with Jet, and why Jet, I guess?
So the thing is, I was living in Torino at that time, and so I wrote this song, and I say, man, this calls like Nick Sester.
Mm.
And I wanted to meet him. I say, man, I think I wrote something for you. I mean, this music is serving you, so I need to meet you. And at that time, Nick was living in Como, so we were really, really close. So I drove all the way down to Como. We had like an amazing pizza with all these friends. And that song, we created that song that night eating pizza. So we should call it My Name is Thunder. And then the jet thing came like later because at first it was a track just for Nick because I love like Nick's voice. And then management heard the song and they say, okay, this should be a jet song. We should release a rock version of that song. and blah blah blah. So it became a jazz collaboration. But originally it was just for Nick.
Yeah, wow. That's incredible that you get to stamp yourself on something as well. So I mean, when you look at the collaborations and the people that you have worked with, um, the list is incredible. I mean, Paul McCartney's in there, Steve Aoki's in there. Again, another one of your dear friends who's actually in Australia at the moment too. I think he's got a festival on the 30th out here. So
Nice.
it's funny how all of these Australian parallels have jammed themselves around the time of this interview. But who's been your favorite to work with and to collaborate with in all of this?
Um, oh man, I have a long list. Paul, of course, is one of my highlights because, how did that happen? It was so crazy that that even for me was like, uh, I'm in the studio with Paul McCartney. What am I doing here?
Yeah,
So that was like a teaching, a learning experience for me. This guy which is like the history of music, getting into the studio with me just because he wanted to make an experiment.
yeah.
So that was like me, okay, I should do this. Like I took that as a lesson for me to say, okay, I should experiment more with people I don't know. I should embrace more the human experience that I was talking about. And so there was like kind of a blueprint for all my collaborations from that time on.
For sure, and again, it's such a surreal thing to think of being in the same studio, not only collaborating but being in the same studio as
Yeah,
Sir Paul
it was
McCartney,
great.
the man who pretty much shaped rock and roll as we know it today in one shape or another.
Yeah, crazy.
If we talk about other people that obviously looking at the live band side of things too, you've had Tommy Lee from Motley Crue play drums with you live, haven't you, in the past?
Yeah, Tommy is my best friend. I think we met back in 2012. This is a crazy story. He sent me like a message on Twitter, like a public message on Twitter saying, "Yo, I'm a big fan of yours." And I'm like, "What? Like, are you Tommy Lee from Motley Crue?" Yeah, 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 it's me, buddy. It's me, buddy. And I was like very, very skeptical. So I sent him like a private message saying, "Hey, buddy, give me your address so I can send you some goodies." And I sent him like a mask, a couple of vinyls, and blah blah blah. And after a couple of months, I got like a pictures of Tommy Lee naked wearing my mask, and I say, okay, this is the guy. And so we became best friends, and we've been best friends since there. Is a great, great, great guy. And all the times that he played drums for me, it was free. He
Mm.
flew all the way from Los Angeles to Milano once for my birthday, and he played drums for us. Um, it's just such a great, great, great guy.
Mm. Has there been any music sort of written and recorded between the two of you? Has there been a collaboration that's out there that we may not have known to be
Oh
a,
yeah, yeah. Yeah, at that time I remember that in 2011, probably 12, I was touring with Dennis Luxon of Refused. With the asset was called the Bloody Beetroots that crew. And we released Church of Noise, which was a single that I produced with Youth of Killing Joke. And that single, the lead singer of that single was Danny Luxon of Refused. We're hanging out in Los Angeles, say we should go to Tommy and say hello. And we made a song together. So we have this one demo recorded, which is me on guitar, Tommy Lee on drums, and Dennis on vocals. It's called Fire. It will probably never get released.
right? I guess the question is that and why I sort of reference that because obviously Tommy did Methods of Mayhem, and I see elements of Methods of Mayhem in some of your work, and I see some of the stuff you're doing with the Tommy Land project as well. I was just wondering if there were secret writings around that time as well.
Yeah, I mean, this track, sometimes you get in the studio with Tommy, you make like a demo and that's it. But
Yeah,
it's more like, we get together, we play a song, we produce something, and it never get released. But it's true. Tommy is an electronic music enthusiast. He loves electronic music, and of course, he loves the Bloody Beetroots. But yeah, yeah, I mean, there's so much stuff that will never get released, even with other guys as well. It's that sometimes the collaboration happens in the studio and just stays in the studio. And for me, it's like it's more than enough, you
Mm,
know.
mm. Just knowing that that collab and that energy, I guess, has happened is it has to be so satisfying. And again, when now that you've told me in the way that you write and create, it makes so sense that so much sense that these sessions would just be, experiences within themselves. So putting minds together and seeing what comes out of it all.
Exactly. Sometimes I say that music is music, music business is another thing. I'm more in the music bubble. If it gets released, okay, but I'm already satisfied with what I did in the
Yeah,
studio.
yeah,
Sometimes you don't have to hear it because it does connect only with us, musicians, and it doesn't have any context to be released. Sometimes it does, and then we release it.
for sure. So, and I mean, when I guess if we also digress again even more slightly, is that I mean this fondness. If we go back to your fondness for Australia and your connection with Australia, when was the last time you were out here?
I was there like a couple of years ago for a nostalgia tour with Ministry of Sound. Did like a couple of DJ sets around the country. But as a band, I think since the big day out, we've never returned. So the plan is to return as a live band, but it takes a lot to bring all the people together and start touring, with that asset.
Absolutely, and obviously it's a show as I mean one of your shows is a show within itself, so it's obviously special lighting and obviously the masks and so forth. Now, the inception of the masks, I obviously see that you're wearing a bandana over your face. The reason for the masks and the reason for your anonymity, is there a story behind that?
Oh yeah, of course. There's two reasons why I use the mask. One is to protect my privacy,
Mm,
because I really love living a normal life. I don't want
yeah,
to be recognized. I always thought, when you become successful or famous, whatever it is, you also alienate yourself to a form that doesn't belong to you. So, and for me, it's like living within my community is so important. Having my coffee Saturday morning without, nobody looking like I'm the Bloody Beetroots. It's a privilege. So that's the main thing that I wanted to protect. I didn't want to be alienated. I want to be connected with my community because it's so important for me to lead that. That's the main reason. The second reason was to create a catalyst to bring people's attention to my music. And if you wear a mask, you can be Bob Rifo,
yeah.
just because you wear a mask. So that was a catalyst to brings people attention. And those are the two main reasons why I do this.
Mm, mm. No, it's fantastic. I'm always intrigued, and when you say that the connection that you have to community around you, that makes absolute perfect sense. So, and when
You
you
know,
also say there's the music business and then there's music creativity, and obviously that suits you right into that creativity zone that you spoke about earlier, and I commend that. I mean,
exactly.
that's
Exactly.
incredible.
If you don't protect the bubble of your creativity, the music business can destroy you.
Mm,
And so for me, it's just, a priority. Without that word, I'm not able to create,
yeah,
so I'm
yeah,
not gonna be able to be in the music business as well.
yeah.
So I feel privileged right now.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's fantastic. That's
Thank
fantastic.
you. Thank
So
you.
again, if we jump back to Forever Part One, obviously it's leading up to something else, and if I remember reading correctly, Forever is just basically the idea behind the name was a rebirth of the live side of the Bloody Beetroots. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, it embraces a lot of stuff. It's really evident now that the Blood Beat is more like an alternative rock project than an electronic project. But still, electronic music is the backbones of everything, because it glues everything together. This will lead to the Bloody Beatles live band because, as you can, as soon as you listen to the song, you say, "Oh, okay, I want this song to be played live.
Yeah,
I want to feel it." So the part two is like, it will expand even more this section. But yeah, it's been a long journey to
Mm.
create Forever. I think it summarizes what the Bloody Beetroots is in 2025.
Absolutely. And you know, the lead single, I'm Not Holy. I mean, my God, how that song hasn't been picked up by commercial radio globally, I have no idea. That is just one of those perfect sort of dance tracks, and that just has, you know, a subtle crescendo. It's not too diverse. I think it hits. And I hope this doesn't offend, but I think it hits mainstream and accessibility so well.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I never create something to be mainstream. It just comes out the way it is. If it gets picked up, I'm okay with that. If it does not, it's this the experience of creating that song was already enough. I love it so much, as much as I love This Is Blood. I agree with you that it could be like played by radio stations. But who knows? The music business is such a crazy thing right now. Maybe it will pick up, or maybe not.
Yeah.
I will continue to release songs and be honest with my music and serve it as much as I can and see what happens.
For sure. So, uh, again, you know, I think seeing and hearing and experiencing all of this as a live band, I mean, excites the hell out of me. Because when I think of, you know, some of the greatest performances that I've seen have been from bands like The Prodigy, who have been able to meld those worlds together so well in a live environment. Um, in the modern age, who would be your favorite artists today?
To work with?
Oh, to listen to work with, to potentially tour with.
Oh man, I don't know. This is a good question. This is a good question. Let me see what I have on my Spotify list that I listen to the most. Liked songs. Um, oh man. The thing is, I got the Specials and the Clash. So I don't know. I got Curtis Mayfield. I got, I have old stuff here
Yeah,
because
yeah,
they inspire me so much, and I
yeah,
see so many nuances and colors. I know there's probably some other artists around that are modern that probably they have like many colors as I like, but
yeah,
I still want to pick up from the past because I kind of I like honoring the past. I
yeah,
like blending the past with my
yeah,
modern identity, and I think it's a good time to do so because we need to pay attention to what has been created because those are the foundations why we're here today. So we need to pay respect. So my way to pay respect is to, tribute them
yeah,
and to my music and make this transit and for the history not to be forgotten.
yeah, absolutely. Um, so sorry, I just meant I've got about 10 questions floating around in my mind, and I'm just trying to figure out which way to lead. So, favorite song ever written for you personally
Oh
from any
man.
artist? Which song
Uh, I
is
think
it?
Anarchy in the UK is known as like kind of my
Yep.
jam. What can you say about it? Like God bless Steve Jones.
Yeah, absolutely. Have you seen the Frank Carter led version of the Sex Pistols?
Not yet, but I'm both friends with Frank and Steve, so I'm so happy they got together because Frank is such the perfect guy to
Oh,
continue with that,
isn't he
that
ever? Yeah,
legacy. Yeah. So I'm just happy because this, yeah, it's exactly what I've been trying to do with my music,
yeah,
but with the classic vibe of the
yeah,
Sex Pistols. There's nothing to say about that formation. It's like perfect for me.
yeah, yeah, for sure. And moving into the world of dance music, I mean, was there a song that made you want to play with initially with that drum and bass stuff? Was there something that drew you to that outside of punk rock that you went, okay, I can make these two work together?
Oh, I think maybe Pendulum could be a good, collaboration with me to do. NDC for sure is a guy that I've been watching, and such a legend. Shock One, I did something with Shock One, which not a drum and bass track, is an Australian based
Mm,
producer. And he has like a very nice song. And recently I got to discover to UC, who's also Australian based, as he did a remix of Paranoid of Black Sabbath. So that brought my, my watch. And so I think UC could be like a guy.
Mm, absolutely. Now, what are the chances of seeing the Bloody Beetroots out in Australia again as a DJ set or as a live band?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I think it's still early. For sure, we'll try to get down there and see, but it also depends how the songs will perform in your country. The more we talk about this album, the more the chances.
Yeah,
So, financially it makes sense to go around as a DJ set now because the world is broken. But there's also a big plan to bring back the Bloody Beatles live. But when you bring the Bloody Beatles live on the road, it's like a 3 years plan. So, hopefully soon because I love Australia so much. I got so many friends, so many good people that I want to meet again. So, let's pray Jesus.
absolutely. All right, Bob. Well, thank you so much for your time today. Congratulations on the EP Forever Part One, and as we've mentioned, go and check out the Bloody Beetroots on streaming services, on YouTube. Support these guys however you can. Is there a website that we can send people to as well, Bob?
There's thebloodybeters.com. But I probably my Instagram is what gives you the most in terms of contents and honesty about what I've been doing. So the Bloody Beatles official.
Fantastic. All right, Bob. Thank you again for your time. I really do appreciate it, and I wish you again all the success with Forever Part One. Thanks for taking your
Thank you
time
very
to talk
much.
to the Rock Pit.
Ciao, ciao. Thank you.
Ciao.
Ciao.